Welcome to OracleLife. Join us as we explore what it takes to build an academy and a software business while living the Oracle life. Hey guys, welcome back to Oracle Life. Today is day 3 on the beaches for rolling. Sorry guys, I'm just warming up here. It's day 3, rolling on the beaches here in lovely Toronto. This was on our Labor Day weekend, and it's a beautiful sunny day. So I'm really glad that we're getting in these rolls while we can in the great outdoors. So let's just jump right into here. Shout out to my homies at Toronto BJJ. Any of them watching? I have that great t-shirt from Academy I go to. I just got the butterfly sweep on Zennon again. Pretty happy about that. It's been working out, and he knows I'm trying them on him, so I'm even more happy that he knows that I'm looking to get them, and yet I am still getting them. So I don't know what that means. I mean, sample set of 1, but one of the good things, so Zen and I were talking about how we know guys are training with other guys, some as much as 5, 6 guys, in private, of course, in separate locations and whatnot. So that's pretty cool, and I'm happy for them. I think it's important. Zennon and I were saying how, even though it's just the 2 of us, which we've purposely chosen to keep it small, nonetheless, even though it's can be repetitive, but the old adage and analogy of sharpening a sword comes into play, that you're repeating certain things over and over, and with that comes the sharpening of the blade. So higher refinement for on both sides, one for the defense obviously and one for the offense. So I am definitely really happy about that with training with Zennon as often as we are. Today's episode, I originally had it for over an hour of filming, but I took a little bit more time and going through it to edit out some of the quieter parts where there was not much action, so it's a bit more streamlined for you guys, and it's just 45 minutes today. Zennon has the De La Iva, which there's the grip. So 2019, actually 2018 and 19 were particularly tough years for me. I had quite a few injuries. It was either my knee with a small tear, and then it was my shoulder, each of which, the knee was, I think, about 2 months out of commission. Shoulder was another 6 to 8 weeks I was out of commission. amongst a bunch of other stuff. So both 2018 and 2019 were particularly rough years for myself, but I managed to get through it, and so I'm just careful with my knees. And so when Zennon has the De La Hiva, you sort of, anyone who has had some injuries with their knees or issues can identify with me in saying that you feel it, when people touch your knee, you're like, oh, little warning bells do go up, so I'm mindful of that. So I had the north-south, and I gave it up to go for a back mount transition, which Zennon quickly turned over, rightly so, to avoid that. So I have a deep, high side mount, and Zennon has grapevined my far side leg, which is interesting because I know what I'm thinking here is I'm thinking about the twister side control roll to twister to truck, but I don't know if I'm going to do that here, but no, I don't do it. So Zennon does a good job of reversing that, but I had his foot, so he couldn't really go any further. I'm hoping the audio sounds a little bit better today. I'm in my personal professional studio today, which, if you saw me, consists of 2 pillows on either side of my Mookie condenser microphone. The microphone's pretty decent for a for a YouTube channeler, beginner. But actually, the pillows actually do make a big difference in the audio quality and absorbing some of the sound, lending to that rich ASMR voice that I know you love. Just had a news pop-up saying coronavirus uptick in Ontario. So here I'm just setting up the triangle. One of the things I think I mentioned in the last episode was, I think I get this one, was the setup for the triangle from mount. My traditional way is to go from the right side, meaning the lead leg going in from the right side, my right side. Zennon was getting really good at. I get high percentage on it on the mats, training with all the guys, but Zennon has gotten really savvy to it, and so I had come across something by Greg Jones. Is that his name, Jones? Whatever, that dude. He had a great entry with John. Was it John Denner? No, it wasn't John Denner. It was with BJJ Fanatics. Ferrado. Terrible name. Terrible remembering names. But anyways, his entry was from the left side. Pretty nice, and I don't know if I did it there. I'm going to try it again, so I'm going to try to walk you through it. But essentially what happens is, if the right side doesn't seem to present itself as a viable entry, what's really neat is you pin down the left, your opponent Zennon's right arm with your left arm. As he sort of fights, he'll, typically not want to set up, obviously, for a Kimura or so. But until you actually double team his hands, he's not going to worry too much about it. And with your cross face, with your right hand, you're going to slide it under his head. And then the beautiful part is you get it really deep and under his right armpit, propping his head up. And then at that moment, you sort of grab your left foot as your entry point. I don't do it properly, just only because I only started trying it. But with this technique, it allows you to have a left entry as an option if your right entry is not going to work for you. And as you know, in all things jiu-jitsu, you want to have options. With no gi, obviously there's no garment grips, so you sort of really have to work with the grips that you do have and can have. As you can see, I'm grabbing Zennon's triceps, just where his short sleeves end, so it gives me some traction. I find that works quite well if you're in guard or pulling guard. As you can see there, I again managed to get the butterfly sweep. A warm welcome to any of viewers who are coming in through TikTok. I hope you enjoy the content. This is definitely the longer expression or longer pieces of content than what you're seeing on TikTok. There I just got a sort of an arm lock from the top. Not sure what the name for that is, but I got it from one of the many YouTube videos that are out there. This one guy, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's pretty fascinating. Somewhere in Japan, I think it is. He's got all these crazy locks, half of which I haven't ever seen any North American grappler or jiu-jitsu guy use. One of which was that one. I'm not saying that one was not used in jiu-jitsu, but there was a whole whack more. If you've ever seen this guy, you'll know what I'm talking about. The video was shot like in, I think, the 80s or something like that, and it was quite grainy, but fascinating stuff. Just within a 5-minute clip, there must have been 20 different varieties of submissions and locks that were just amazing. Oh, there's a nice edit there. So we're not really playing by BJJF rules, so if you're concerned that I've gotten some DQable knee reaps in there, you are right, but we are, for the most part, lax about the rules. We're not really going with strict IBJJF rules. I mean, nor are we doing any heel hooks. We might do them, but neither of us have actually tried those yet. But yeah, in terms of knee reaps, it's all good. So you can see Zennon is, wise to my butterfly sweep setup. So that's really why he was having a low seated position. However, he got up to try to pass my guard. We're just going to reset because we're on the edge of the mat. So I go for a deep half here. But I don't think I'd do it justice. I'm not particularly adept at the deep, but you can see I try to do a sweep there. But Zennon smashes me, and really, from my underhook grip to my head, there was just too much space, and Zennon took advantage of that and flattened me out. So for those who don't know, that deep under deep half guard is effective if you do it properly. So there I was basically giving Zennon a bit of a taste of his own medicine as he went for the arm in triangle. I used that momentum against himself to basically squeeze out of it. So this recording is about 3 days old. Today is Tuesday, and I had a great session, a tire workout session. Got it on video, so I'm hoping to work on that one in the next day or two. And for any of those viewers that are following me on YouTube, you should be able to see that upload up shortly. So we just reset because we went off the mats there. So Zennon basically had an armbar there and was able to finish it nicely. I tried to do my sneaky sort of stand up and twirl into an armbar transition, which did fail. I think I have to be a little bit faster if I really want to hit that one. See the couple behind us right there in the background? It's pretty interesting. I mean, I'm going to cut out the audio so you won't hear them, but that woman there, for some reason, thought that we actually might have been fighting. So here she's asking me or one of us, if we're okay. So, how many guys fight on a purple mat? But regardless, it was, I guess, nice of her to sort of be thoughtful and making sure that we're okay. And she asked us if we were okay, to which we sort of smiled and laughed and said, yeah, everything's good. Thanks for asking. It was quite funny. So you can see Zennon's a little worried because I've got his ankle tied up at this point. Neither of us, again, are going hard on this. So, in most 9 times out of 10, if you're setting up the straight ankle, then guys are going to work themselves out of it. Zennon is going to try here, but as soon as I drop, he might do a roll. But typically, both of us will tap out sooner than later. But I drop it and then go for the side control. Zennon does a good job of shucking me off. He doesn't get up, and I get up, and we end up being obviously in each other's in his guard, which was a nice move for Zennon. I sort of have to watch for that. It's a very sneaky move, very effective move on Zennon's part. It's quite quite a good technique, actually. It's so simple, and yet it's so efficient, and that's what's so amazing about Jiu-Jitsu. What you saw there is really him just posting off of my, I guess, my armpit or my shoulder or my, I'm not sure exactly where he had me, but done properly, your arm is effectively what I call like the spear, and you're able to transfer the entire force directly through that spear in a pointed fashion, and with that efficient transfer of force, you can move heavy objects, especially if you're leveraging a taller object like my torso, which is not supported, right? So it's and if he's doing sort of like a technical stand-up positioning with the spear, he can move larger objects like myself. So yeah, very, very effective technique. Here, you know, two guys hugging, that's all. But what's really happening, I mean, the guy on the bottom, Zennon in this case, would only really do this if he's looking to minimize my attack options. If he's trying to, say, get a breath in, that's all you're doing. You're effectively removing all the space between the two of you, which is how you minimize any sort of actions on my part. That's why I push him down to sort of break that position of his. So here's Zennon was kind of setting up on my hips. I kind of showed him how you get someone off of a mount or a side mount using a hip bump / hip lift. There it didn't quite work, but maybe you'll see it in another part of the video. Nice roll by Zennon. Or a spin, I should say. So here he's setting up again. But I smashed it. He's sort of getting his elbows, or dagger distance is what I say, using his elbows. Ideally, you want to get it to the arm length, which is the spear distance. But I moved in rather quickly, and he got it to the elbow positioning. And at the elbow level, it's definitely a lot harder to move someone. So here it's past his elbow, so it's down to his hands, right up to his face. So obviously he does not have as much power in there, but you can see he's going to try to work hard and leverage off of me, right off of my hips. But here again, I've got the knee on belly. I've got all my 4 posts in key strategic locations. My left foot is up against his belly. My 2 hands are on his 2 top and bottom points across near the shoulder and the hip line, and then I had a leg out, so it's a very dominant shutting down position for the guy on top. We're about halfway, at the halfway point. We're still in the middle of quarantine, and my sleep is entirely messed up. Went to bed last night about 2:30. So I'm a little bit tired, and I just got back from my tired training. Here I got the body lock on Zennon, so we're fighting for my left leg to be free. As you can see, he wants to try to trap my left leg, but I did win that battle, and I got a proper body triangle with my left ankle around the back of his left knee, which is where you want it. I've got my hands widely splayed out there intentionally because I'm trying to prevent him from grabbing them, and I'm essentially waiting for an opportunity where I can get possibly a rear naked choke. That's why my arms are like that. If Zen does a good job of sliding to his right to one of the sides, I may abandon the back as I did here and turn it into a top mount, which is, depending on your ability and your game, you might want this. Zen's escape from being top mount is pretty good, so that was a wise move for him. I probably it's probably not as good for me because I know that's better for him. I should work a little harder to maintain that back, but it's not as easy as it looks. Having someone's back requires a lot of effort to maintain that position. Here's what I was talking about earlier, where I got from Greg Jones. That's his. So I'm leaning in for sort of semi-shoulder of justice, working his left arm to get it flattened out. Zen doesn't quite know yet about this technique that I've been working on. So he's got his left arm in to try to post, but it really is not doing him anything. So you're going to see in a moment that he's going to give that up at one point to get his arm out. It's also not very comfortable. You want to use your crux of your elbow against his elbow to move. There, you see, I was able to leverage and get his arm out and up to his side of his face, which is where you want it, because he has less power and leverage from there. So now I got the cross face, and now I got his arm almost straightened out. So you're going to see here where it's just there. Now, there you go. See, my right hand goes in, tries to grab his thing, but I messed it up. What I was supposed to do was my right leg, which was going to be the lock, was supposed to go under his left armpit as I raised him to his side. So I essentially, did it incorrectly. But that was pretty much a great angle to view what I had intended to do, but messed up. Zennon did a great job getting out, by the way, from that. My longer legs and less flexibility to Zennon's torso length makes it a bit of a challenge, not to make up excuses, for me to get that hook in. That's what I was trying to do there. Here, there's a little reset. So I had the seatbelt grip, which I love, as I've always mentioned in other episodes. You're able to really, as long as you maintain that seatbelt, you're able to do quite a bit of stuff. So you saw us sprawl. I was practically on my back, but as long as I had that seatbelt, I was able to do a sort of torso 180 and pull him back into my guard, into my knee onto his back. And here I got the body triangle again. So Zen's going to probably try to do it again, where he's going to try to do the 180, but I think at this point he's going to give up, just because it's not a fun position to be in. It takes all the energy out of you, all the air out of you, squishes all your internal organs. It's not fun. You see, the longer you sit inside of a body triangle, the worse it is, because it just gets worse. So you either go ballistic and try to get out fast, or you're just going to have a slow death. And here in this case, as you can see, I'm not even applying any pressure, and Zennon has tapped out. And sort of we had a good laugh about this, how he didn't really put any effort, and I asked him why, and he basically said because he just didn't want to be in that body triangle anymore. Zennon has got a north-south sort of choke set up, or a guillotine. Just going to reset that position. Yeah, he sort of dropped it. instead he's got the Kimura from top, north, south. With the seatbelt grip as he transitions onto my back. This is going to be interesting. Something I picked up somewhere, I forget, I don't know where, but it's brilliant, where you essentially double team his neck, as you can see there. I think it's basically a corkscrew or a can opener. I think it's can opener or a modified can opener on the neck, but it essentially pulls the individual off your back, which otherwise would be potentially quite difficult, especially with double hooks in. But once you got that sort of can opener grip on the back of his neck and you sort of twerk down, it's not very comfortable for that individual. And a lot of good jiu-jitsu principles rely on the understanding that you control if you control one's spine, you sort of control that person's body, because our spines are obviously our central component too. Here's another setup of what I was trying to do earlier, but I abandoned it here, I think. Might try it again. Yeah, you control one spine, you control the rest of the person's body, just because everything's obviously linked to the spine. The spine is sensitive. Your head is connected to the spine, and your head is sort of mobile and loose. So where you control someone's head, you control a large part of their actions. I lost it there, unfortunately, and tried to get back, but did not. Zennon is sort of collapsing my knees together, which he's migrated to the north-south and setting up a Kimura. Here I get up, I got one of his feet, and I'll take it. It's not a pretty escape, but it worked. As we're trying to transition back to re-entry into the marketplace, a lot of academies are, trying to get back into the normal swing of things, and it's definitely a challenging time for everyone because, with COVID still around, we're in phase 3 still. Gyms and academies have special restrictions, particularly full contact sports, because of the nature of the proximity to the people. We have different sort of set of arrangements. As far as I understand it, we are still not really allowed to be in full contact unless, and that's the big unless, you are within each other's bubble. So, as I mentioned previously, Zennon and I have talked about this a long time. We have both vetted each other thoroughly in terms of lifestyle exposures, and at one point we feel very confident in each other that neither of us are unnecessarily exposing the other to risk and potential harm. He has 2 children and parents that he has to watch out for. Likewise for myself. So, we don't want to necessarily introduce risk. Having said that, various different academies are having different approaches, and I don't really know them all, but I will say I think anecdotally they are sort of a little bit all over the place. Some are observing it more rigorously, protocol, and others, anecdotally, I'm hearing are not. So, I don't know how much there is truth to any of that, but because I personally have not been into any of these academies to sort of see how things are actually running. My personal position has always sort of been, for now in phase 3, is to avoid personal contact at all costs up to now. But having said that, we are sort of introducing our own sort of processes and procedures where we're having dedicated partner rolling. So much like the way Zennon and I have vetted each other and included each other in our immediate bubbles, I'm asking my students the exact same, that we either bring in a partner that is already part of your bubble. Sorry, let me get back to this. So I've basically set up a Kisakatami, and if you don't know that position, my right arm reaches under cross-face and grabs my backside of my right knee, which is, as you saw, straightened out. Once you have that, it puts the other individual at a very uncomfortable position, and at that point you can sort of crank back on his neck for a tap out. So with the dedicated partners, yeah, it's sort of touch and go on a per individual basis. I am partnering up individuals, suggesting at least, and then it's up to the individuals to feel out their comfort level with that other individual to see if they could be part of their immediate bubble and dedicated partner. So that's sort of where I'm at right now, working with some of my students. Nothing firm just yet. And just really playing it one day at a time, and not rushing it, because I don't think we need to rush it at this point, as schools, I think, just started, public schools, junior schools, have just started going back into school. As I mentioned to you earlier, there is, I think, an uptick in cases, which is what I completely expected. So the next few weeks is going to be critical to see what the numbers are like. So I'm not rushing it, but I have started the process. I do have what I'm calling an illness advisory declaration form, which is quite detailed in asking individuals essentially psychographic behavior to see what levels of risk and exposure they've had before they can even discuss about coming back into an academy. So more on that later. Within the next couple of weeks, I think we'll hopefully have better indications, but I don't know. Quite honestly, I think 2021 is going to be a very challenging time from a business owner perspective. Already we're seeing quite a bit of damage with big retailers pulling out of Canada or going bankrupt. I mean, a buddy and I went out for drinks the other week, and it was a big chain, Jack Astor's, and they literally don't have several key things on their menu that they normally always have, one of which was fajitas. And when we asked the guy why, it was because their supplier for the fajita wraps went out of business, and I think, I'm pretty sure that there's several items on their menu that are the same. Beer selection was down as well. So, clearly there is an impact, and unless you're in a part of an industry that will experience it directly, there I messed up again, then you may not see it some industries are actually doing better depending on what you're in. But yeah, if you are experiencing it, you know what I'm talking about. So I don't know what 2021 is going to look like. I don't think it's going to be good. I don't know what that's going to translate for gyms and academies. There, I was trying to get a crab ride to backtake, but Zennon did a good job of dropping and scooting to the side to avoid it. I also wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what's going on with my software company called VetaHub. I briefly mentioned about, what OracleLife is all about. At the end of the day, it's about my personal journey into building a academy and a software company all in one, while leading an OracleLife in terms of staying healthy, fit, spiritual, physical, mental, all that sort of stuff. Bringing it all together into one sort of holistic sort of view. So VetaHub is a part of that for my life. For those that don't know, it is a coaching software tool and student performance accelerator. So all summer, actually, a big part of the summer, I was actually troubleshooting some bug that I had, and it was quite annoying. But about 4 weeks ago, I actually managed to solve it, and it turned out it was just, one bad entry that was sort of messing things up. Sometimes there is no clear-cut logical solution to things. You sometimes just have to delete bad data and then do it again, and sometimes it works, and that's actually what the case was. So I was quite happy about that. So last night, basically, I was doing a little bit of cleanup, and I got to do some more testing today. I can't speak enough about the importance of testing, software testing. So there you see I got control of Zennon's left ankle. That really prevents him from basing out onto his knees, which he just did there. But I already got a seat belt, and now I got my hooks in. So I got to test the software and do some updates. And I'll be sharing some more information about that as I go along. I just thought I'd sprinkle that in so that I can mix the two worlds together. I'm having some good traction on the referral portion of the business. So I have a referral program with very good, above industry standards for referral payouts, starting at 30%, which is quite high right off the get-go. So bronze, silver, platinum levels. Platinum levels, you're looking at essentially 50% commission rate, which is quite unheard of in the industry. So obviously I'm doing this because I want to have a great incentive for those individuals that want to get into that business of affiliate marketing and or sales, and that 50% is a dedicated 50% lifetime. So if you sell my software to a business, a company that uses it, and as long as they remain a client of mine, paying a monthly subscription fee, it is a subscription service model, you as the affiliate referral person can get upwards of 50% per month in perpetuity. So put on 10 to, just quickly that got edited out, but I did a footlock roll, which I enjoy and I have good luck with, but it just cut away from there very quickly. So yeah, if you're interested in it, check it out. Go to v3da.com, and under the menu you'll see our affiliate network partner program. Anyone can join. I do approve it based on your application and what your sort of strategy is going to be like. But yeah, there's a high rate of acceptance. Short of me seeing something weird, which does happen, and I have seen, there shouldn't be much of an issue. Here I'm setting up the crab crawl again, which didn't work out. Yeah, so just going back to the software testing, we have about a couple more minutes left, but just quickly, like for those that are interested in that sort of space of software development, I sort of can't stress enough the importance. The more I do my own, run my own business in software development. I've been in the software development business for quite some time as a project manager, project lead, product manager, so I'm quite familiar with it. But the more I get into the weeds of the actual code, and really running it end to end from the code level right up through the servers and implementation of the infrastructure, you realize the importance of every little step. So in terms of QA and testing, for example, it's something that I've always been part of the process. We've had QA departments doing testing. They're always called upon on Friday morning, and they always bitch and complain, and rightly so, because it's not something fun to be given a whole whack of stuff to test on a Friday, to be expected to have finished testing by Friday end of day. And I wholeheartedly now can appreciate why that is the case, having to do this myself, to do proper QA testing. And that's the whole point, is that any sort of modern software development has to have a rigorous testing procedures and tools, so that you're constantly doing regression testing. 9 times out of 10 of all the places I've been to, I could tell you right now, there is next to no regression testing happening. There's unit testing, where you're testing the individual modules that you just sort of built. But from a regression standpoint, meaning going back to see what those modules have affected. Here's my shout out to the folks at trying to be JJ. That's a different story, right? Because any number of things can happen when you implement modules in a larger picture of your entire program, and that requires sort of rigorous testing and a lot of resourcing and man hours to do that. It's no small feat, and it's super important for the very obvious reason that if you don't go ahead and fix things, go ahead and test things in a regressive manner, then who knows what you're breaking in the back end, and at some point down the road, if you're not going to catch them, then you're not going to know when that happened and what you have to roll back, and yada yada yada. It's a nightmare. So some of these things I had experienced in the last little while, but fortunately, we've come out clean as recent as now. But yeah, moving forward, I'm going to be looking at automating a lot more of my testing, so I have to put that in my to-do list. So that's the end of the video, guys. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you soon in our next episode. Play safe and play hard, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.